Hey athletes, let's talk about the kettlebell deadlift. Now, if you can't master this move, you shouldn't move on to a kettlebell swing, a kettlebell clean, or anything more advanced. You gotta learn this motion. Now, what is our intent? What are we trying to work here? This is a great lower body exercise. It's also great for your posture, and I'll be talking about that later as we get into it. But we're working our glutes, we're working our quads, we're working our hamstrings, we're working our hinging pattern. Our upper backs are engaged, our cores are engaged. Any deadlift is great for your entire body. And again, once you learn this, awesome. If you haven't seen how to even use your legs in a step-up fashion, you need to go back and see that video before you attempt this deadlift. Let's see what a deadlift looks like. So I always bend, right? I always line up my feet with the centers of my feet with the center of the kettlebell. I bend and get ready to hinge over, just like we've talked about in other videos, such as the RDL. And what I'm doing is I'm reaching my arms straight down towards this kettlebell because as soon as my fingers touch the kettlebell, I'm going to get braced. Now let's see that. I grab the kettlebell and then I get braced. Now what I'm doing there in order to brace myself is I squeeze the handles as much as I can, then I'm going to lift my shoulders up slightly and back slightly, trying to turn on my whole upper back. From there, I'm going to take my chin and push back. That way I get almost a straight line through my whole body. Now notice, this position is very similar to the positions we're in when we're doing plank. My shoulders, even though you can't see my hands, are slightly in front of my hands. My spine is neutral. I'm looking slightly forward or down, definitely not wrenching on my neck to look up. This is very much so like a plank position from my butt to my ears, and that's why it's so good for your core. Now, as I get tight, all I'm going to do, and you probably already know this, I'm going to take the center of my feet and just push straight down. I push down and boom, I stop the motion as soon as my shoulders are right back over my hips, okay? I am not throwing my shoulders way back here, okay? I want to keep my core on. I want this to affect my posture, right? I draw a straight line. Half of my body's in front of the line, half of my body's behind, my chin's right over my collarbone, right? Everything is in a nice straight line, and because we've added load here, I'm making my posture even better for when I get rid of that load. So again, I only drive up until I'm fully erect, not beyond that. Now, from here, to bring it back down to the floor, I'll rebend, and I'll go straight down. Now, I'm going to keep the tension in my whole body, never letting go of this stretch between my shoulders and my hand. Now, you will notice, especially this time, this kettlebell goes straight up. My body moves around the weight. The weight should always move in as straight of a line as possible. So I keep that tension, and all I do is drive through the centers of my feet. That kettlebell comes straight up. Right? Straight line of power. That's exactly right, okay? Now, plenty of things can go wrong. So let's set it back down. Plenty of things can go wrong. Boom! You start with your hips too high. That's something bad. You can already see my back is very rounded. Now, you'll notice as I'm picking this weight up, this kettlebell does not go straight up. It goes out. It goes out about the same thickness of this kettlebell. Now, when that happens, you can see it's swaying back and forth. When that happens, that really rounds my upper back. It puts all of the pressure into my lower back. Just my glutes are helping my lower back. My legs have completely done nothing because they've been straight this whole time. And again, my arms are just completely forward. This thing is swinging back and forth. That's putting a lot of pressure where I don't want it. Now, at the top, I come back through and boom, right? This is very, very common for people who try to lift with their arms. I know, as human beings, we have hands, and we're always trying to use our hands to do stuff. This is not a hand exercise. Reaching for the floor is not the way to do this, okay? We need to stay tight through our upper bodies and allow our legs to bend as we go down into position. We're not reaching for the floor. So it swings, it swings, it swings, boom. I can't even justify saying lift with your legs when my body's in this kind of a position. There's nowhere my legs can go, right? My legs have done absolutely nothing. This is exactly what your mother told you not to do, and lift with your back. Now, if we turn it more into a squat, we can also put just as much pressure into our lower backs, right? We're way overextending our neck. We're trying to get a huge curve in our upper body because, again, we're actually using our lower back and not using our legs to lift this weight. At the top, you'll see how much of an arch you'll get by doing this. Boom! Again, just using my lower back because that was what was moving first. Sure, my legs went from a bent position to a straight position, but by no means did my legs lift this weight. It was all in that lower back, and that's something we want to avoid. Same deal here on the way down. You can see how much pressure I'm putting into my lower back, just trying to stay tall, and the weight is too heavy for me to stay in that position, and it forces me back into an actual good position. Now remember, we want that weight to go in as straight of a line as possible. So let's see that again, the right way. So again, I line up the centers of my feet, I bend, I reach for the weight, I get my whole body tight, then I drive straight down so the weight moves straight up. I take my breath, I bend, I hinge, and I go down towards the floor. Until you've mastered this kettlebell deadlift, I don't want to see you doing anything more advanced. No kettlebell swings, no cleans, nothing like that. Make sure you know how to deadlift a kettlebell first.